Welcome to the Severe Radar Watchers YouTube channel. My name is Bill. Today we're going to be looking at the severe weather in the Indiana, Illinois, northwestern Ohio, and Michigan area. There is a slight risk placed in this area for severe weather today, and we're also going to look at some of the tropics, including Dorian and Juliet, and the other three depressions that are out there. They're in the tropics. But let's get to the Storm Prediction Center. If you notice that the Storm Prediction Center today put a slight risk for Indiana, Illinois, Northwest Ohio, Michigan, and southern tip of Wisconsin. Also, there's a marginal risk for Michigan, Wisconsin, Missouri, around St. Louis, almost into Springfield area, up into Ohio, part of Lake Erie, and some of New York. Also, there's a marginal risk down here in the Florida area that associated with Dorian. We're going to look at the tornado risk. There's a 5% tornado risk for Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and much of Michigan for today, surrounded by a 2% risk in this area. Also, there's a 2% risk down here where Dorian is expected. These are expected brief tornadoes due to coming from Dorian that can come off the outer bands. Your wind risk for today is mainly a 15% for damaging winds in this area where the 5% risk of tornadoes is. And then the 5% also goes down into Missouri, up into Pennsylvania, and little part of New York State right there. Your hail risk, again, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, much of Michigan, and that little southeast part of Wisconsin, and then you got your hail risk down here still in Missouri. We're going to go to I like to thank the SBC for providing us with this information. Now we'll go to the College of DuPage. We're going to look at the NAM 3K and show you where these storms and approximate times of these storms are going to be hitting this area. If you notice, this is 21Z, which is around 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, 4 o'clock Central Daylight Time. You notice there's a band of storms in lower Iowa that's coming up through. It's coming through the area, and we're going to look right here. Look at the Michigan area around 00Z, which is 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time. You notice these storms. Get it back here. You notice that this is when the storms are at their most severe, it appears according to the NAM. You see some of these storms got a high DBZ, 59, 46, 58. This is where the severity of these storms appears to be happening today in this area. They continue on into the Ohio area. They'll be entering the Ohio area around 11 o'clock Central Daylight Time, midnight Eastern Daylight Time. And then they continue to go through as a small squall line MCS throughout the night up until probably 5 a.m. in the morning Eastern Daylight Time, 4 a.m. Central Daylight Time. With these storms, I'll show you what we're talking about with these, why we're thinking these might be severe, might come up with looking at them, look at the helicity, the cape, the lift, and everything that's in that area that might be causing this problem. These come up right now. we're going to pull up Ventusky. We're going to look at this area. We're looking at Ventusky right now at 12 o'clock, but we're going to go to the storms that said about 5. We're going to look at the temperatures in this area at 4 o'clock. We're running 88, mid 80s to low 80s in this area. And then some around Springfield, St. Louis, Indianapolis, you're still in the mid 80s. Humidity at this time, it would be at 5 o'clock, it would be, you see the 90% here. Your dew point running 70s, 60s, and some 50s in this area. This is where the frontal system is at this time. Now we'll go here and look at the Cape. This at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. All these times will be Eastern Daylight Time. You see the Cape. There's a 3600, 3400, 3000 joule Cape. Up in here's 8 to 900,000. Then we'll go to 8 o'clock. We'll look at the Cape Shear. It's 1850 around Illinois, 1600, 1200. So it's a mid-level Cape Shear in this area. Mid to upper level Cape Shear around here. Then your wind shear, you're running, it's kind of lower. You notice around Columbus, Indianapolis, your Cape Shear is not as high. But where this frontal system is, you see the winds coming in. That's where the frontal system is beginning. That comes through. That's where the winds are high at. Convective inhibition, which it stops the convection, it keeps it from forming. It's high also around the Detroit area at 5 p.m. and then over in the Iowa area. Your lift index, not really much of a lift. It's running baseline lift all through this area. Then your helicity for 5 p.m. There's your helicity. Helicity is a spin up in the air that will produce these tornadoes, sporadic tornadoes today possibly. Now we'll go to 8 o'clock. You notice over the Detroit area, your helicity is running to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Your helicity is running 290, 380, 270. So your helicity is very high in this area. We'll look at the Cape real quick. So you get a 3,000 joule Cape down to 4,000 joule Cape in this area, up till 700, 500 around Detroit. Your Cape Shear at this moment is still, you got a mid to high level Cape Shear over Indiana, and then a mid-level Cape Shear through Detroit, Grand Rapids, into Indianapolis, St. Louis, and up into almost Columbus and Cleveland, Ohio. Wind shear is pretty dominant right here in Illinois, just south of Chicago, where you got your 30s and 20s. And then Fort Wayne is mid-level, mid to low level here through this area, with a few spotty spots of 27, 28, and 29 up there. Your convective inhibition for this area, in this line where the moisture appeared to be in the NAM 3K that we just looked at, is running negative 20, 10, 30s, and 40s, but ahead of that front, your convective inhibition is very high. Then your lift index pretty much stays baseline at 0 throughout all this. And like I said, here's your helicity for this time in this area. We'll look at your humidity. Relative humidity is running 90%, 70%, 60%. Then you got your dew point, which is running about 59, 64, 72 in this area at this time. and your perceived temperature at this moment is running 79 to 80, mid 80s, upper 90s around St. Louis, and then mid 70s up here in Detroit area and around Indiana and Columbus area, mid 70s. We'll look at 11 o'clock because these storms are being ongoing throughout the night. See, your temperatures are still in the mid 70s, mid 80s. Still kind of warm down here in St. Louis at mid 88, around 88. Humidity at this time, there's where your moisture is. You see, your humidity is 80 and 90% at 11 o'clock in these areas. Your dew point at 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time is running mid 70s, mid to low 70s, and also in the 60s. Your Cape, it's right here around Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Cape is dropped in this area to 2,700, 2,500, then 1,100 around Detroit, 3,500 down into Missouri. Your Cape Shear is still running mid-level, 870, 730s. There's some 500s and some 1000s in the Cape Shear in this area. Excuse me. The wind shear, where it's coming down from, you see it coming from Madison, Milwaukee area. It's coming down, meeting at Fort Wayne, and pushing up in Toronto. You got it coming from this northeast, northwest, and then from the southwest to the northeast, going straight up, going into Canada right there. Your CIN at 11 o'clock, still got this one area here where all the moisture is. That's in between these two areas of CIN, convective inhibition. It's where we're thinking these spin-ups will possibly occur today. Again, your lift index in this area is 0, but behind it is very high, so it's hard for it to get any lift behind there or in front. Excuse me. Your helicity for this area, you notice Fort Wayne, how it drops in Indiana, Indianapolis, Columbus. There's enough helicity here to possibly have some damaging winds, some hail, and some brief tornadoes. That's why the SPC put out the 5% for this area today, with a slight risk of tornadoes. So if we're looking at our COD, College of DuPage, you'll see these storms as they come through, starting about 8 o'clock, they start building. Then 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Around 7, 8 o'clock, they start building, and they really get ramped up around 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time in this area. Then they push into Ohio, a little bit in Indiana. These will be brief supercells that's going to cause these possible spin-up tornadoes. So don't look for a widespread, but there'll be brief supercells that will be causing these tornadoes. And also be causing, with a hail, also with the helicity being as high as it is, you got it pulling up. So in the lift index, you'll be able to get the spin up of the possibility of large significant hail in this area. You see how it goes. According to the NAM-NEST right here, it dies off in the early morning hours before rush hour in those areas start. Now we're going to look at the tropics real quick. We're going to look at Dorian. This is as of 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Advisory number 41. Maximum sustained winds is 95 knots or 110 miles per hour. The central pressure is now at 955. It's located at 21.7 northwest, 78.6 west, and it's finally moving at 2 knots to the northwest, 2 knots or 2 miles per hour. You also have Tropical Depression 7 over here. As of 10 a.m. this morning, maximum sustained winds was 30 knots or 35 miles per hour, 1004 millibars. It's located 23.6 north, 94.9 west. It's moving to west at 6 knots or 7 miles per hour. Number 2 right here, disturbance number 2, it has a 40% chance of a cyclone formation in 48 hours. As of 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time today, a trough low pressure located several hundred miles south of Bermuda is producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Some development of the disturbance is possible during the next couple of days while the system moves northward, and a tropical depression could form by Thursday. Afterward, upper level winds are forecast to become less favorable for tropical cyclone formation. Interests in Bermuda should monitor the progress of the system, and areas of heavy rainfall are likely. According to the NHC, the formation chance through 48 hours is medium 40%. Formation chance through 5 days is medium 40%. But we got one out here just coming off the coast of Africa. This is as of 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. An area of low pressure located a few hundred miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands continues to become better defined. The associated thunderstorm activity to form later has been increasing, and a tropical depression is expected to form later today while the system moves generally northwestward across the eastern tropical Atlantic Ocean. According to the NHC, formation through 48 hours is high at 90%. Formation chance through not 5 days is high also at 90%. But Dorian here is a Cat 2 hurricane at this moment. It's finally starting to be from a stationary to a movement of 2 miles per hour. We're going to look at the Eastern Pacific, which is Hurricane Juliet. Juliet now, get the information up here. Juliet. Here's information on Juliet. Hurricane Juliet. This is the advisory 10, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Surface winds sustained at 110 knots, 125 miles per hour. Minimal central pressure is 953 millibars. Located at 18.4 north, 115.0 west. Movement is at 7 knots or 8 miles per hour. Juliet at this time is no threat to landfall. It's out in the Central Pacific. So there's basically nothing out here for her to hit at this moment. We'll look at her. We'll look at the cone on this. This is the cone. She's supposed to be a major hurricane up until Thursday. Wednesday at 5 p.m. she goes back down to hurricane status from a major hurricane. Tropical storm 5 a.m. Friday. And then 5 a.m. Sunday, also a tropical storm. So she's going to lose force in wind speed as it gets closer to the weekend. We're going to go back and look at Dorian here. We're going to go look at our cone of uncertainty on Dorian. This is Dorian. There are hurricane warnings out at this time for Florida. A tropical storm warning out for Georgia and part of South Carolina. a hurricane storm warning out for South Carolina and a hurricane watch out for North Carolina coast. As you notice, Dorian is a Cat 2 at this moment, Cat 2 hurricane, still moving very slowly. 8 p.m. Wednesday, they're saying she'll be near the coast of Florida and Georgia and South Carolina. 8 a.m. Thursday, it'll be near South Carolina. And then Friday at 8 a.m. off the coast of North Carolina, Virginia. And then Saturday, we'll be moving out into open waters and then move up through the open waters as a hurricane. Is your wind possibilities with Hurricane Dorian? That's the probability of getting percentage of getting tropical storm winds, force winds through this area. Then you notice here off the coast of Texas, the other tropical depression that has formed that will become a tropical storm as it hits Mexico and Texas. There's your arrival time of winds of Dorian. So if you're in these areas, you'll get some. This is all approximate times as of 11 a.m. today. But I want to show you what we're looking at on windy. Here's your three systems at this moment. There's Juliet, there's Dorian, there's the other tropical depression 7 that will become a tropical storm as it moves closer to Tampico, Mexico. And see, here's 3 p.m. Wednesday. It's trying to make landfall. But what I want to show you is coming off the coast of Africa. Something to be watching out for Wednesday of next week. We'll go all the way to Tuesday. You see here there's a low pressure here that just comes off the coast. It's coming off the coast of Africa. That's what we need to be watching, because it appears to be more developed than this system that's already out here. See how it's more developed here. So Thursday next week, this will probably be another area of concern for the National Hurricane Center as it goes. I'm going to pull up WSP3 and show you the tropics and everything on the radar. This is what's left of Dorian up here. It's already gone. It's turned into a low pressure system up here. It's already dissipated. And then Juliet's way over here. As we look at WSP3 here, you see we've got, this is Dorian, this is Juliet, this is the new tropical depression. It's going to become a tropical storm when it hits Mexico. Then you got your other Invest 92L here. This should be going up north, up through the Atlantic. Should not have any threat for landfall. Then you got the one they're talking about now, Invest 91L, as of 8 a.m. Notice wind speeds 29 miles per hour. It's moving at 11 miles per hour to the northwest. The central pressure is 1007 millibars on Invest 91L. Dorian right now is made, it's expected to make a turn to the left at 8. This was the 8 a.m. update. It didn't come up with 11, but you notice it's supposed to make a turn and then go up. And this is your forecasted area right now for Dorian. This is the track, the best track, official track of Dorian, according to the National Hurricane Center. Is they're showing a possible Cat 2, staying as a Cat 2 as it goes up the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. And then as it gets past New York, off the coast of New York State and everything, it's going to be a Cat 1. But there's basically no threat of landfall in that area. The tropical depression here, tropical system here, 07L, which is now a tropical depression as of 8 a.m. You see the millibars of 1004, 4 miles per hour, moving at 7 miles per hour. This is projected to be a tropical storm with gusts up to pop 50 miles per hour. Maximum wind speed will be 40 miles per hour before it. So maximum wind gust is 58 miles per hour when it does make landfall. There is a hurricane watch, tropical storm watch out for this part of Mexico at this time. Then Juliet. Juliet is a Cat 3 hurricane at this moment. And like I said, there's no chance of any landfall at this time forecasted for Juliet. According to this, Juliet will reach Cat 4, possibly up to Cat 4 hurricane, and then start dropping down once she gets out in the open waters down to a tropical storm. That's the National Hurricane Forecast Cone and official forecast track of Juliet. But we're going to look the severe weather today. There are already some meso detections up here in the Indiana, Illinois area. See around Kokomo, there's a meso detection of 5 with a low level rotation of 27 knots, base height of 7,000 feet, depth of 13,000 feet. Then you got another one here with hail possible probability, ½ inch in size, meso detection of strength of 5, low level rotation 28 knots, base height is 12,000 feet, depth is 18,000 feet. Then you got another meso detection here of 5, base height is 13,000 feet, depth of 15,000 feet. Then around Juliet, Illinois, you got a meso strength of 7, low level rotation is 34 knots, base height is 13,000 feet, depth is 15,000 feet. Like I said, once this system moves through, there is another system that is coming. As you can see right here, it's already starting to build around the Grand Rapids area of Michigan. This system here is what's going to be bringing the severe weather later today as it goes through. There is a possibility that this might become outflow dominant, with outflow dominant winds that may impede any inflow of the system. Inflow winds to start any rotation, but that's just a guess we have at this moment. Depends on how these supercells produce and the timing with the daytime heating in this area. If it's still got a lot of convection in the area. But that's pretty much a real quick update on the tropics and severe weather for today. Again, if this severe weather gets too bad in this area, we will go live to cover this, and we will be providing additional radars throughout the live stream, and we'll be also providing fire public safety dispatch. So if you live in this area, you'll know what's going on and where it's happening at. I think it's good to have a public safety dispatch in the area so people can listen and know what's happening on the ground as it's going on, as the severe weather is going on. Again, my name is Bill. I'm with the Severe Radar Watchers YouTube. We also have a Discord. I want to thank you for watching. Like I said, this was a quick update on severe weather and the tropics. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to receive notifications when we do go live, especially for severe weather. So I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you. Goodbye.